Hey, welcome back to Cards and Comics. And today, what I've got for you is a video on my Griffey collection, and I thought I would use it as kind of a gateway into kind of the current state of collecting in terms of pricing right now. We've talked about how everything's kind of gone way up in price and how it's really hurt some collectors. And I want to use my Griffey collection as an example of how I personally have changed and modified my collection, and how I still find value even when prices on, let's say, vintage Hall of Famers or Willie Mays has kind of gone through the roof. My Griffey collection, which has gone up in value, but not every card. And so this video is really about, I want to show you my collection a little bit, but talk a little bit about two very key things in the hobby for collectors is that it's availability of cards and scarcity. Those two things are still very important, and the investors out there don't really care about those two things if you really get down to it, because in the grand scheme of things, they want cards to have high levels of availability. That's why the prisms and the really high print run base cards are what they target, because there's so many of them. They can, get a lot of them, create a portfolio or have a position. And when a card's really short printed or doesn't have a lot of copies available, then they can't get a position in them. And to them, the card doesn't really exist. And you're seeing this happen more often in comic books now, the availability issue, where in some instances, there's just no copies available. And I'll give you some good examples. If you're a comic book fan, I know this is about Griffey, but if you're a comic book fan, think about comic books like Bone #1, Strangers in Paradise #1, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 first print. Those books are pretty much gone. There'll be a few high priced copies on eBay at one point, but in some cases they're all gone. And as some of the speculation happens with these characters as they get popular in comics, you're seeing that there's just a huge lack of supply on some of these books. And baseball cards has some of the similar issues. And I'm going to use Griffey as a good example because, Griffey has a lot of rookie cards. And so even though my collection isn't a focus of rookie cards, I want to use it as the first kind of example of availability and how this is really going to be the real trend in the future. I think right now this idea of these base cards and speculation on base cards is sort of what we are today, but as things get a little more sophisticated, you're going to see a change. And so the history of the Griffey rookie card, so I'm going to pull mine. So I've got my Griffeys sorted now. I used to not have them sorted. And now I got them sorted. So this stack here is my, starts out with my rookie. So I'll just pull them out so everyone can see it. So here's my Griffey rookies. I'll kind of lay them out. And we'll talk about them. And here's the kind of the ones that matter. And then I'll put this guy kind of at the top and we'll talk about them. So if you go through pricing and starting in 2009, and before we talk about pricing, I want to go through just some of the availability issues here. So the 89 Bowman Tiffany Griffey, which is this one right here. There was only 5,000, I believe, of this card printed in a serial numbered box. And then the Tiffany traded, I believe, was around, 10,000. So those two cards have a limited amount that's pretty much printed, serial numbered on a box. The cards themselves aren't serial numbered, but obviously, there's a limited supply. Now, these other cards, the Bowman and the regular Griffey traded, and the one that has been really a focus of a lot of collectors lately, the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, this card has millions of copies in existence, and I think I've talked to some dealers and people who knew Upper Deck, They think 5 to 10 million copies is probably not an exaggeration for this card. There's still many out there in packs still. I mean, 89 Upper Deck wax is still very common. So there's still more in the wild, so to speak, that have never been graded or been found yet. So, I mean, this card has almost an infinite amount of supply. Now, if you go back to pricing, so back in 2009, the Bowman Tiffany was worth about $2,000. And it was, hovered in that $2,000 range. The Griffey Upper Deck rookie card around that time period, was a $600 to $700 card, and then the Tiffany tops, you go back to that time period, and it's like a $900 card. So very much the Tiffany Bowman was worth more, and these are all PSA 10 prices, even though I don't have 10 prices, 10s, but that's what most of these speculators kind of go for. So, in 10 prices, the Tiffany Bowman, the traded Tiffany, and the Upper Deck were kind of in that order of rarity, of price. But if you look at it, why was, and then so when April of 2020 hit, you see a huge price swing on the 89 Upper Deck. So it goes from being that $600-700 card, now it's a $1,300 to $1,500 card, consistently from April of 2020 up until January. So here we are, $1,300 to $1,700 in that price range. So it goes, that basically doubles in price. Okay, well, the 89 Upper Deck, so starting at that, $1,700-1,800 price point, around, say $2,000, goes to, around $8,000 to $9,000. So, hovering in that $8,000 range, pretty consistently. Sometimes it dipped down to $7,500. So, it made a huge jump in price too. But if you look at it, so this seemed pretty common. The cards were going up in relative amount with each other. And then January this year, the Griffey Upper Deck 10 got up to $6,000. For a card that has 5 to 10 million copies available, $6,000 for a 10. And then you've got the 89 Upper Deck, 89 Bowman. It did make a huge price swing too, but only a few copies sold, like 2-3 copies. And they're selling above $20,000, $19,000 to $20,000. So it went up quite a bit too. But why did the 89 Upper Deck go so high? And right now it's on a trajectory down. So it's gone from the high of $6,000 down to a little over $3,000 now. And it's heading down with hundreds and hundreds of sales. So this isn't just like a few cards. Whereas you've had 3 Bowman Tiffany 10 sold in that same time period. And that just shows you, what these guys, miss in terms of the market. The 89 tops traded. Tiffany got to a high of 11,000 and it's back down to 8,000. So, but that 89 tops Tiffany at $8,000 versus $6,000 for an 89 Upper Deck, just crazy. To think that those cards would even be close on pricing. $20,000 for the Bowman Tiffany cards, $5,000. Total print run. Versus $6,000 for the 89 Upper Deck. I still think, it's out of whack. And obviously, 89 Upper Deck is going to go down in value because there's just too many of them to support that price point. But the pricing between it right now, even today, versus the Tiffany cards is just so out of whack that it'll eventually be where if you've owned the Tiffany cards, which, I'm not telling anyone to invest in anything like this, but as a collector, yeah, you're going to have these cards if you're a Griffey collector. This is what you want to collect. These are the rarest rookie cards. So of course, if you're a good, hardcore Griffey collector, you're going to try to get the Tiffany's, right? And so in the end of the day, the collectors are winning. The investors, are making a short-term profit. over the long term, these Tiffany cards, as long as the market's healthy, and are going to eventually get the momentum and be so much more valuable. And so as a collector, you can see I have one of each of these cards. I don't have 10 Griffeys. Why would I have 10? I just collect Griffey. I don't invest in Griffey. And so, as a collector, these are going to be the more valuable cards, these Tiffany's. They're going to be factors of 5 to 10 to 20 times eventually higher than any other card, because these cards are printed in the millions. These cards are printed in the thousands. And unfortunately, if you don't have these cards now, it is going to be expensive to get them. And that's just how it is. But there's a reason that they're expensive. I mean, look at this Bowman Tiffany card. I mean, it is visually the most appealing of his rookie cards, in my opinion, regardless of the value. Okay. I mean, I love the Bowman. I have the Bowman in a 10, but the Tiffany is just, better quality cardstock. It's glossier. It's printed very short compared to everything else. It should be factors higher, and the market is showing that. When that Upper Deck rookie card went to $6,000, and this card, the Tiffany Topps, which is still a beautiful card, is $8,000. I mean, that is plain ridiculous. And I think it's starting to catch on that rarity matters, because as people go and say, hey, I really like that Tiffany card, I'm going to try to find it. And guess what? These collectors these investors can't find the cards. They're not available. The collectors have some of them, right? But even if a few of them hit the auction circuit, it's not more than a couple at a time. You see, I guess, I should look, but I'm sure there's probably 50 to 189 Upper Deck Griffeys on eBay every day. And that just, is what's going to happen. So, as these price points get crazy and investors start to kind of, churn out this story that population report doesn't matter, print runs don't matter. It's wrong. They know it, and it's going to change. So as collectors, if you've got some of these really rarer cards, I think you're going to be rewarded, because you played the long game. You didn't play, hey, I'm going to go out and buy 189 Upper Deck 10s. Play the flip game. And if you bought in at $5,000 thinking they're going to keep going to $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, now they're at they're going to go down to $2,000 or $3,000, and you've lost $3,000 a card. That's rough, because they're probably not going to recover as things get more sophisticated. Because even if all these fractional share companies come into this, they're going to focus on these cards. I guarantee you. Are they really going to have? They'll have some of these cards, I'm assuming, but it won't be a focus. Okay, if they're gonna really invest in these sport cards and the true best of the best, they're gonna focus on these really rare cards, the ones that actually have some meaning and value, not these crazy cards with $5 to $10 million card print runs. And again, I love this card. Okay, it's part of my childhood. That doesn't mean just because I love a card that it's worth from a sentimentality perspective, a lot more than my other cards that have a lot more reason to have value. So, but yeah, so I want to start out with the rookie cards, because it tells a good story about kind of where the market's kind of correcting itself. I think and going to I'll show you, or I'll go to the 9. So I'm on VCP, so I'm going to go back and just see what the 9 is. But that's the thing, as as a collector, the whole thing with trying to figure out what cards you should be collecting, or investing in versus a collector is really not that tough for me, because for one thing, I'm looking for one copy usually. If I have more copies, and it's usually a mistake. But I for Griffey, for example, and the reason why I wanted to use Griffey for today is he allows me to have. He has so many cards. I know I will never have every one of them. So as a collector, I don't feel the pressure to have every one of his cards. I can just focus on the ones I enjoy and the ones I like. And if some of them are really expensive, then that's good. And they're a challenge to acquire, and they got some monetary value, and that's great. Some of them are super cheap, and that's great too. And it's fun to be able to get a piece of your collection for a couple bucks and feel good about it and not have to worry about making major financial investments in a card, and having that little bit of worry, right? And we all worry when we spend money, that we may lose that money. So the 89 Bowman Tiffany is selling for around $2,000. So, and I would say this, I would rather have an 89 Bowman Tiffany Griffey rookie and a 9 any day over an 89 Upper Deck 10. Like, if that's the choice, give me 100 of each card. And right now, you can buy the 89 Bowman Tiffany 9 cheaper than the 10 Upper Deck Griffey. That's such an easy choice. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. There's still value out there, guys, as a collector, as an investor, whatever you're doing. But it's not all doom and gloom in terms of value, okay? There's still chances and opportunities. As a collector, you can go out there and get you an 8 or a 9 in these cards and not be financially ruined trying to do it. So, I do think, as a Griffey collector, I'm having my best year ever with the prices being crazy. And I'll show you what I picked up so far just this year. And it's been really fun. And since everyone's focused on this card, and they're focused on Prism and Mike Trout and some other players and things that are, I guess, pretty common, I bet they've left a lot of these cards alone, and I've been picking them up, and it's great. So going through some of these, so I got my cards over $100 kind of broken out in this section here. So I've got the 90 Leaf 10, which is gone up quite a bit. The 90 Bowman in a 10, and a card I didn't really realize was worth so much, which is this 91 Peachy 10 Griffey. So yeah, I picked it up, I'm sure, a long time ago, and just kind of, these 10s are just, again, as a collector, I'm not a 10 collector, so you'll see this in my collection. You'll see me not having lots of 10s because I'm just looking. I like to have the card, and sometimes if it's a 10 and that's what I get and I can afford it, then I will. But you'll see, like in this card here, the 93 Finest Refractor. This is an 8.5, and it's good enough for me. I do not care. This is a 10, 9, 7, 6. I just wanted the card. Okay, this is an iconic card from when I was a kid. It's one of those cards. When I got this card, this really kind of cemented, me as personally in my mind as a Griffey collector. Okay, I bought this last year. So once I got this card, I was like, okay, I have one card, a key Griffey card that if you don't really have it, it's hard to say, okay, I'm a serious Griffey collector, and this was that. And from a 90s perspective, this is one of the, true iconic 90s cards, these 93 refractors. So for me, it was a major, thing for me to get. I got this at the end of last year, and I love this card, the Donner's Preferred, the Precious Metals Platinum. And for a lot of people, they think they'll say this is one of the greatest insert sets. I agree. I think it is one of the greatest insert sets ever made. I think it's never really been duplicated in this exact format. And I think there's been some other card sets that's done the card in metal or printed on gold. I think Donruss Gold Standard had that, or Panini Gold Standard had something like that. But these cards were first, and they still are really cool looking, and they're just one of those cards that have never really been, to me, duplicated to this level, and they're kind of you either have this one or there's nothing else like it, and I really am happy I picked it up. And one of the newer pickups wasn't very expensive this year. 94 Stadium Club first day issue. It's the first day stamp. I don't think collectors really know, me included, how many of these were printed. So they've always remained a little bit of a mystery, but I know they're hard to find. So I picked this up. I just picked it up in the last 2 weeks. Another card I picked up last year, and it is the non-protector refractor from 98 Finest. You can see the refractors on both sides, so it's the no protector. I'm not sure why it says error. I've kind of investigated this a little bit. This is an interesting card in terms of how it's labeled. So not sure. But here's another card. I picked up pretty recently. 89 Bowman Chrome refractor, and again, these refractors are tough back in these days to hit. The sets were big, and just getting these refractors now, it's been a lot of fun. Another card I picked up, an SGC 10 is great, but just the die cut, this, these fractal, this is like the X-axis die cut, so there's like a Z-axis and a Y-axis, and it is a very confusing set. However, it's just a cool looking card, and it's got a cool die cut. And it's graded a 10, so I really like. I have no clue what it's worth. I try to look it up, and it's one of those just very confusing cards in terms of just how to value it. Here is my one PMG, and this is the Hardball Galaxy Griffey. You can see it's numbered 37 out of 50. Again, one of the tougher Griffey inserts you'll ever find. This one's got some damage to the surface, and so we would grade probably a 6. I don't know if you can see, it's got one little dot right there. Yeah, you can see it. So it's not a 9 or 10, but I don't really care. It's a cool card. My platinum medal, my medallion, sorry, from Ultra. So I want to get all of these. These are this one's numbered out of 50. There you can see that hopefully. Kind of weird how it reflects, but these are numbered out of 50, and this year they die cut them. I think some years they don't die cut them, so this year they were die cut and numbered. So that's a really tough one. And then this one I just picked up, and again, this is another example of I paid what I consider to be a really nice price for this card. Just picked it up. These are really pretty cards. These platinum, these Flare Brilliance Gold, numbered out of 99. So you can see that. Just really, just beautiful cards. And again, I like these parallels, and this card is a really good shape card. If I was going to grade any card that was in this collection, it would be this one and then this next card. I've never actually even owned this card or seen it in person. So, and the same goes for this card. These refractors in this set are just super hard to find. I've opened boxes of this, and you don't get that many refractors in a box. And it's a pretty good size set. So finding the Griffey is just tough. The 95 Bowman's the best refractor. And again, this card is really nicely centered and great corners. I just love it. It's a beautiful card. It's just one of those refractors that you don't think of. But it's very tough. It's worth a lot more than you think. But it's just for me, having these early 90s refractors is just really key. Oops. I'm on the lookout for the 95 Finest and the 94 Finest. I don't have those yet. So again, that's why I'm focused on those kind of cards. And this year I'm hoping to knock a few off. And a cut above from EX2000 Fleer. These are really gaining popularity, and I picked this up last year, and these are really tough cards. These die cuts, they're not numbered, but everything from the EX set and the Fleer and the metal sets of the inserts are really cool, and the basketball inserts have just gone nuts. And I think this one and this next one are two good examples of just cool looking inserts. The linchpins, these two are just killer 90s inserts. They scream 90s, and just really happy to have them. Going through a little bit more. This is the Z-axis die cut. So we'll go back to this card. There you go. You got the X-axis, and then this is the Z-axis. So whereas, some of these cards were numbered, these two are not numbered. They're such a confusing set. I will say they're just hard to get and leave it at that. You can go read about them on Baseball Cardpedia. This set was, if they would have numbered things or just made it a little easier to understand what they were trying to do from the die cuts and the material cards they use. And it just, if they would have numbered everything, I think that would have helped, because it's hard to tell what's rare and what's not. Some cards look like they should be more expensive than others, and it's just one of those sets. It's just hard. Ticket studs. This was a pretty hard to get insert. I want to say 1 in 288 from Fleur Ultra. So I think this is, again, a really cool insert. They don't do cards like this that often anymore. This folded out, so it made like a full-size ticket. So they actually are quite damaged. A lot of people did fold them. So yeah, and it's kind of shiny stuff on it. So it's like, they knew how to design cards back in the day, make them shiny, make them die cut. Here is a non-protected 98 finest. So this is kind of a double. So again, I usually get doubles. I don't mean to. Here is a Bowman's Preview Atomic Refractor Griffey. It's a cool card. It shouldn't be. I looked at the recent sales. It's not that hard of a card to get, in all honesty. But it looks cool, and so it's again in the over $100 pile. This card, I think it's from Ovation or Invincible. Sorry, just a cool die cut. You'll see a lot of just die cut cards nowadays have gone up. This was a 1 in 73. I went through and kind of looked and see how tough some of these were. So it was a tough insert, 1 in 73. I generally don't like his Reds cards. I usually try to stay with him as a Mariner, as a focus, but if I find some rare stuff, I will get it. Here's two cards from Finest. I believe this is 99 or 2000 Finest. Sorry, it's 99. And so these milestone cards, a lot of times, some of the milestones are hits, doubles, home runs. And so the doubles and home runs card for Griffey are numbered out of 500, and you can see that there. You can see that it's a refractor on both sides. And so these are just really cool cards because they're refractors numbered out of 500. Now, I will say they're kind of ugly. And this goes into this whole idea of when you're dealing with, player collectors and 90s insert guys, aesthetics matter, and refractors numbered out of 500 in general will be worth a lot of money. But these cards are not really that expensive because they just don't have the visual appeal that would get people to go find them. If they were die cut and looked like, let's say, 98, Finest or something, gold refractors, I think they would, be worth thousands of dollars. They're worth a couple $100 at most. Hollow View Red, it's a cool insert. I don't really care, but these have gained a lot of popularity recently. These are my graded inserts. So I started out with sort of my best, and then my ungraded, and then here's some of my graded. Donruss Elite 95. Hitting Machines. I love the set. When I was a kid, I had the full set. And I used to have the gold medallion. So they actually had this set, and then they had a gold medallion versions of the cards and the set, the insert sets. And so you can actually get the gold medallion insert set, and they're like 10 times as hard to get. So this is like 1 in, let's say, 250. Now it's 1 in 2,500. And so it makes this set really tough to get as a gold medallion. But just the set itself, the intricate die cuts. I mean, they don't make cards like this anymore. Mother Lode, again, not high grade, but this card is always damaged because this intricate die cut. Not a super, super duper rare card. And if you think about it, I mean, I know it's like 1 in, I think, 288 or something, but compared to some inserts like the milestones here, which, if you look at the insert popular or rarity to pull this card, they're numbered to 500. It's much rarer than this card. But the cool die cut, I mean, it just looks really cool. And so this card is way more worth more than the milestones card. And kind of agree with that. I'd rather have this card over that kind of bland looking refractor any day, even though it's numbered to 500. Good example of a Flair, the Metal Universe cards. Just any insert from that set's worth a lot of money. You can see it's an acetate card. And so they're worth, more than you would think. And I'll just go through my last row here. So I do have 2 of these Centurions, a 10 and a 9. These are numbered out of 500. There you go. And they're worth a lot more than the Milestones refractors. But I don't have the refractor version of these. I believe the refractor is numbered out of 100. So I'm on the lookout for that. The refractor version. Diamond Soul out of Middle Universe. Again, a Middle Universe insert that looks pretty cool. I believe this was one of the easier ones to get. And so just, one of those cards that just because it's in that set and it looks cool, it's worth a little bit more than you would think. The Dial H, Dial 1 card out of Skybox Thunder. You can see it's clear in the back here. You can see through it a little bit. Kind of a hokey looking card with the old cell phone design, but they were 1 in 300. You can see I wrote the number, the rarity on the back of the not the holder but the sleeve, and 1 in 300 is pretty tough. Seismic Activity out of Flare Mystique. I just picked this up. This is a brand new pickup for me this year, and yeah, it's cool looking card. Hitting Machines, Power Player, Refractor again. A very shiny refractor, really cool die cut. I don't know why the black golds are worth so much money, but they've gone up in value. And let's see what I got down here in the bottom. Naturals, that Dufax, people really like that. And these aren't really worth that much, so it's just in the set, but the Gold All-Star Griffey and from 94 top traded. So that's, kind of the higher end. And then down here, I've got some autos. So this is the big auto out of Fleur Retro. I believe there's 200 of these, according to Baseball Cardpedia. These are a super short print auto, some Sign of the Times. So this is that set that came in the lunchbox. And yeah, that's a super rare auto. Probably one of my favorite cards. Some other autos, Chirography auto. This is out of, I want to say Artifacts. Another SP Authentic auto, which I like SP Authentic Chirography autos. You see some more, actually, some duplicates there. And yeah, I mean, then a little more common. See some more refractors. So here's an Atomic Refractor out of 97 Bowman's. Jose Cruz. The cool thing about this is on the back is Bonds and Andrew Jones. So I always thought that was a cool card. They're not worth as much as you would think. Here's an example I was talking about of the Fleur Ultra with the gold medallion. So there's a gold medallion version of that card. Let's see what they are. And I'm trying to think what else I got that I picked up. I picked up this recently. I think again, a Skybox EX insert. Those have just gone up in value. And yeah, just kind of show off this one. Will be the last one I show you. But an example like you see, like shiny ring card from Stadium Club. Anything die cut, shiny, Dufax is what's popular with Griffey cards. So here's one that's completely see-through, the Home Run Kings out of Ultra. Here's a cool die cut card out of EX, and die cut. Here's a gallery of heroes. So this is the kind of museum Topps Gallery version of kind of that museum looking card. You see it in other inserts now, but this was the original version of that card. And so yeah, so you can see, like, with my Griffey collections, heavily focused on parallels and inserts. And at the end of the day, my goal is to have all the refractors and all the chirography autos, kind of the early Upper Deck autos, and we'll go from there. I mean, the UD Legends auto, I really want to get that. But that's where I'm at, and I just want to give you kind of update on, and really show that this collection, I've added to it. I've added some pieces this year with the prices that have gone nuts, and some of the pieces I've added this year, like this card here. haven't really been that expensive compared to what you would think. The cards compared to everything else. So, so there's still deals out there. There's still value out there to be had. Using the Bowman or the Tiffany rookie, as an example of, there's still pricing issues out there in terms of, people overpaying or not really buying the right card. So just want to let you guys, say, like, as a collector, a lot of times, having this long plan and this long view of the hobby, you win more often than not. And sticking to rarity and the cards that have limited availability, if you do that, you're going to win more often than not. And I'd say that, as a plan going forward, if you just focus on those kind of cards, if you just have a limited amount of money to spend and you look for the cards that are harder to find, that are desired for different attributes. Like, for example, if I was doing Griffey, I'd say focus on shiny cards and die cuts, and you'll do great, because eventually those are what people are going to want. So, give you an update. This is my current Griffey collection. It's been organized. I've kind of gone through it many times, and kind of saw what I have and quit buying doubles. That's my real reason for doing this, but also want to share with you guys. So, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.